My name is Naomi, and if you had told me 10 years ago that I'd be drinking champagne under a crystal chandelier in a house with 12 bathrooms, I would have laughed in your face. Back then, I was sleeping on a futon in my college dorm, trying to finish papers between my part-time job at a diner and weekend shifts cleaning Airbnb rentals. My mom, Dana, used to tell everyone how proud she was of me, but only when it made her look good. At home, her voice was sharp as broken glass, always reminding me that I was the mistake that cost her a modeling career. She married young, divorced faster, and floated from one boyfriend's couch to another, dragging me along like unwanted luggage. When I turned 22, I came home after graduation with a cheap suitcase, eager to show her my degree. Instead, I found an eviction notice stapled to the front door and a moving truck I hadn't ordered blocking the driveway. "Sold the house," she said, tossing me a crooked smile. "Market's hot. I figured you'd understand." Understand? I was standing barefoot on the porch, watching strangers haul our sofa into a truck, and she wanted understanding? That was the last time I cried over her. Chapter 2, Hustle in Silence. I rented a room the next day and stopped talking to her completely. No texts. No birthdays. Nothing. I got a job at a small tech startup. Entry level. No benefits. But I knew how to code, and more importantly, I knew how to listen. While everyone was chasing VC money and foosball tables, I watched how things broke. I built a side platform to fix the glitches they ignored, and by the time they noticed, I had investors calling me. At 28, I sold my first software company for $12.4 million. I didn't throw a party. I didn't call old friends. I didn't buy a sports car. I bought a mansion with ocean views and put a fountain in the foyer just because someone once said I couldn't even afford rent. And for a while, I lived in peace. Until the letter came. The envelope was pink and smelled like her perfume, cheap jasmine and nostalgia. It had no return address, just a shaky line, "Please read, Naomi." Inside, one line stabbed me deeper than any eviction notice ever had. "I'm being kicked out of my boyfriend's place. Can I stay with you until I get back on my feet?" I stared at the letter for a long time. The nerve. The audacity. She hadn't asked how I'd been, what I was doing, or even apologized. Just a casual request like she was asking to borrow sugar. I was about to rip it in half when my assistant walked in holding a bouquet. "Delivery for you, from someone named Dana?" I looked up. And there she was, standing just outside the glass door in a faded coat, holding a suitcase. Smiling. I didn't move. I just stood there behind the glass door, watching her. She smiled like it was nothing. Like she hadn't shredded my sense of home with one real estate deal a few years ago. She even gave a little wave. My chest burned. "Naomi," she mouthed. "Hi, sweetie." Sweetie? I turned my back on the door and walked down the hallway, my heels echoing against the marble tiles. I felt like a kid again, retreating from her chaos. But I wasn't a kid anymore. I owned this place. I built this life. I didn't owe her a thing. Still, the silence behind me gnawed at something I thought I'd buried. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying it, her standing there, that suitcase, her fake smile. I told myself she'd leave when no one answered. But when I checked the security cameras at 3:12 a.m., she was still there. Sitting on the steps like she was waiting for an Uber that would never come. I stared at the monitor for a long time. Then I noticed it, another envelope tucked under the mat. At sunrise, I opened the front door and picked it up. "Naomi, I know I hurt you. But I'm scared. I have nowhere to go. I didn't know who else to call. Just let me talk to you. Please." The handwriting was shakier this time. I didn't cry. I didn't get angry. I just felt empty. Later that morning, Anna, my housekeeper, came into the kitchen holding a tray of fruit. "She's still outside, Miss Naomi." I looked up from my tablet. Anna tilted her head. "She's your mother, yes?" I nodded slowly. "She said she hasn't eaten since yesterday. I can bring her something." "No," I cut in, sharper than I meant to. "Don't open the door." Anna hesitated. "Would you like me to ask her to leave?" I paused. "No. Not yet." Anna gave a quiet nod, then left the tray and stepped out. The whole morning, I stared out the window, watching my mother sip from a paper cup Anna must have slipped her anyway. She looked older than I remembered. Smaller, too. And then she did something that made my heart stop. She pulled out a photo. She held it up to the camera. It was me. At 7 years old. Smiling in a pink tutu. One of the few times she'd shown up to a dance recital. That photo haunted me all morning. It wasn't just a memory, it was a weapon. One she knew would cut through every layer of success I'd built to protect myself from her. I remembered that recital. I had waited at the window for hours, my pink ballet slippers already dirty by the time she pulled up late, still half drunk, but she came. She actually came. That night, when I performed, I danced harder than anyone, not for the judges. For her. For her approval. Now, decades later, she held up that moment like a white flag. Or maybe a trap. I sat in my office, the skyline of the Pacific stretching beyond the window, and opened the desk drawer. Tucked beneath some old project notes was a folder I hadn't touched in years. Inside was the last photo I took of her before I cut contact. She was at a bar. It was blurry. She had a cigarette in one hand and someone else's credit card in the other. She looked lost. But she always did. And yet, here she was. At my door. "I can't keep doing this," I muttered aloud. But I didn't know what this even meant anymore. Later that evening, I walked into the drawing room. The fireplace crackled softly. My assistant, Raina, stood waiting with an iPad and notes for the new software rollout. "Anything else?" she asked. I hesitated. "Yeah. I need you to book a suite at the Beacon Hill Inn. 3 nights. Under my name." She raised an eyebrow. "For you?" "For someone who doesn't have a home right now." Raina didn't ask more questions. She just nodded. I didn't tell her the part that mattered. I needed distance before I faced her again. But I couldn't let her sleep on a sidewalk either. I wasn't her. I wouldn't become her. At midnight, I opened the door just enough to slide an envelope outside. Inside it, one note. "I booked you 3 nights at Beacon Hill Inn. Fresh start. Don't waste it. N." I didn't sign it Love, Naomi. That wasn't the kind of story this was. Not yet. Then I locked the door. And I watched from the upstairs landing as she read the letter under the porch light, and smiled.